We got some interesting nuance in the free speech debate that we need to talk about. BBC defends Joe Brand over battery acid joke. I completely disagree with this joke because, it's hard to know exactly where the line is, and sometimes the line changes based on what's happening. Right now, we have people throwing milkshakes at each other. This woman made the joke that why do a milkshake when you can do battery acid? And the problem is, people are doing milkshakes. Don't encourage them to do battery acid because people have already brought up the concerns that someone will do it. The UK has a serious acid problem. But it's not just that. I have another story from the Oregonian from just a few days ago. Let me actually zoom in. 2 Portland protesters who doused cops with buckets of glitter mixed with lubricant get 5 days in jail. The problem here is, we'll talk about, we'll jump into this. You don't know what to expect when you're hit with a liquid. If you get hit with a liquid and then do nothing, don't throw things at people. But this to me is crossing the line. Now, before we get started, head over to timcast.com/donate if you'd like to support my work. There's a monthly donation option, a crypto option, and a new physical address if you want to send me knickknacks and trinkets and whatever. It's the new studio we're setting up. But of course, if you want to really help, just like, comment, share, and subscribe. YouTube engagement does wonders for recommendations and things like that, I'm pretty sure. But let's read the story and then talk about the nuance of joking. The BBC has defended Joe Brand against claims she incited violence through comments she made during a radio show. The comedian, a guest on BBC4 Radio 4's Heresy on Tuesday, Heresy, joked about throwing battery acid at politicians rather than milkshakes. Brexit Party leader Nigel Farage said the remarks were an incitement to violence and the police need to act. The BBC said the jokes made on Heresy are deliberately provocative, as the title implies. It added, they are not intended to be taken seriously. Doesn't matter. Not in my opinion. Brand, speaking after Mr. Farage and a number of far-right European election candidates were covered in milkshakes during campaign walkabouts last month, said, "Why bother with a milkshake when you could get some battery acid?" The comic then went on to immediately make clear she was joking and criticized the milkshake stunts. "That's just me. I'm not going to do it. It's purely a fantasy, but I think milkshakes are pathetic. I honestly do. Sorry." I didn't take it that way. What she said was, why not throw battery acid? Milkshakes are pathetic. I don't think she's criticizing the milkshakes in the way they're trying to explain it. It sounds like she's saying you're not doing enough. And that's where she crosses the line. There's subtlety and there's nuance, and it's hard to understand exactly where the line is. Count Dankula said certain people should be gassed several times. Well, that's obviously a joke, not directed at any individual person over nothing, with nothing happening today, right? There's no circumstance where people are being grabbed and thrown into chambers or anything like that. So he's clearly making a joke, and it was to his dog. This woman is talking about real world events where people have been hit with milkshakes. She then calls the milkshakes pathetic and says, "What about battery acid? Haha, it's just a joke," right? You may not be, maybe you're familiar with the story. I'm not super familiar, but it's something where like the king said, "Oh, won't someone rid me of this priest?" This is the important distinction. The story goes, and I'm probably getting it wrong, so you guys can correct me in the comments, that there was a troublesome priest. The king said this, and then one of his soldiers went and killed the priest. And the king was like, "No, I didn't mean it seriously. I was just lamenting and expressing myself." What do you think happens when the violence is actually happening? And then you say this, out of sight, out of mind. Okay, if people aren't thinking about this as an issue, they don't do it. Why are milkshakes going viral? Why do they keep happening? Because someone did it, everyone talked about it, then everyone went and did it again. You've now increased the rhetoric. You've incensed people. Sure, I get it, you're joking, but there is a line. Do I think she should be arrested? No, I don't. I just think it was wrong. If she wanted to make jokes about milkshakes and say, "I don't think you should do this," I'd be like, yeah, well, she's crossing the line with this joke. I honestly don't. So this is where it's complicated, right? Because I still don't think that she crossed a line where it's criminal. In the U.S., I don't think so. I just think it was wrong and should be criticized. She shouldn't have made that joke. But let's read a little bit more. At the end of the show, host Victoria Cohen Mitchell said she hoped Brand's remarks had not caused offense, but reiterated that the long-running series had been set up to test the boundaries of what it's okay to say and not to say. No, in the UK, you absolutely cross the line. If you're gonna say this, but you're also going to criticize Dankula, then I think we've got a problem here. So let me clarify my previous statement. I'm talking about like an American standard of what is okay and what isn't, and she's clearly joking. That's fine. In the UK, though, I take offense that you are questioning whether it was offensive, but are gonna jail Dankula over being offensive. But let's get to the real problem. Gavin McInnes, the double standard. You see, many people on the left took statements from Gavin which were very similar jokes. I do believe Gavin took his jokes way beyond the realm of joking, and they were way worse. But some of the things Gavin was criticized for were very much in line exactly with what she said. Exactly. Granted, again, Gavin McInnes did make some direct statements that I don't believe were jokes. The point is, if they're going to criticize Gavin for the similar things that this woman did, why would they defend what she's doing? Well, it's obvious. It's a double standard. So Nigel Farage tweeted, "This is incitement of violence and the police need to act." So I will stress it's complicated, and I'm like, it's a tough position, but I will stress this. Imagine you've been hit with a milkshake, and then someone goes on a major radio program and says, "Get battery acid." You know you could be attacked at any moment. I believe it was Majid Nawaz or maybe Sam Harris. I can't remember who said this. What the milkshaking shows is the vulnerability in your security. They are telling you you are not safe, and if they want to, they could maim you with acid. They are telling you at any moment you are not safe. That's terror. That's terrifying. I can't imagine these politicians now are going to be able to walk around safely, because this is an escalation. Sure, it's a joke. I get it, but man, that's I don't know what you do. You know, do we punish this woman for making that joke? No, but I think we recognize now that things have gotten to a certain degree, to a certain dangerous degree. She later responded to Mr. Farage on Twitter, accusing him of double standards as an outspoken advocate of free speech and a critic of political correctness, saying, "I'm genuinely disappointed. We don't agree on everything, but I would totally have had you down as a free speech man, especially when it comes to jokes." That's why it's really funny. They don't seem to understand the concept, and I really, really can't stand the rules for thee but not for me mentality. They claim they're just joking, and then when you literally do make a joke that isn't in any way incitement, they accuse you of bigotry. Gavin McInnes crossed the line. They called him out for it. Fine. She crossed the line. They don't care. It's free speech. When someone like Dankula makes a clear joke, he crossed the line. It does lead to incitement. Then when they say, "Hey, go get the battery acid, milkshakes are pathetic," they say it doesn't cross the line. And so I'll lightly go over this story about these two guys with lubricant and glitter. Should the police have assumed it was lubricant and glitter? You don't know if it's a corrosive. You don't know if it's some kind of dangerous chemical. You hit someone with something, they have to go to the hospital, they've got to get treatment. It is, my God. People don't realize how easy it is to get hit with something caustic or dangerous or corrosive. And they say, "Oh, chill, it's just lubricant." You don't know that. And if you tell people it's just lubricant, don't worry, then someone will hit you with something and you'll think maybe it's just lubricant, and then your skin starts falling off. You can't make these assumptions. You can't cry wolf. Well, these guys are going to jail. And look at these people I gotta say, man, I use evil, selectively, but these guys are evil. They physically attack people, putting them in fear for their lives, and then laugh about it. It's funny. No empathy. They don't view these people, these cops, as human beings. They view them as just like demons. And that's when things get dangerous. That's when escalation happens. The story says, 2 protesters who splattered 2 police officers with buckets full of lubricant and glitter during a Patriot Prayer rally in downtown Portland last summer were sentenced Friday to 5 days in jail. I think they should have gotten more than that. Absolutely. Robert Jonah Major, 28, and Tristan Romney Mann, 29, had attended the rally to demonstrate against what they believe are the right-wing group's racist, chauvinist, and violent views. They showed up with 4 5-gallon buckets of lubricant used to artificially inseminate horses, gold glitter mixed in, super soaker type water guns, and a plan to spray Patriot Prayer members. Major and Romney Mann said they hadn't decided whether they'd really go through with it when police walked up to them and told them to dump the buckets. Police testified that the men purposefully threw the slime on them, then tried to fist bump each other in celebration after they were handcuffed and taken into custody. What was the slime? What should the police have done? Unfortunately, I'd be willing to bet that the police were like, "Oh, whatever, we'll ignore it." It's probably nothing, but it could have been. So we have a statement from the judge, apparently. Multnomah County Circuit Judge Kenneth Walker sentenced them to the jail time plus 32 hours of community service and 1 year of probation. Okay, so that probably makes sense. Walker said he understands the men's anger at centuries of racism and bigotry in his country and the groups that still associate with it. I detest their message as well as an African American man, Walker said. But he said while he knows younger men can make foolish and stupid decisions, he's never seen anything quite like what Majur and Ramin Man did during the rally. He added, I don't think you have any out-and-out animosity for the police, but you don't have the appropriate amount of respect either. Man, that's a crazy, I'll just say wow to that. That's, the judge is very, very, giving him the benefit of the doubt. It's surprising. But let's just wrap this one up. There's a quote here. Well, at the sentencing hearing, Christensen said he'd gotten used to being insulted and mistreated by members of the public over his decades-long career and doesn't let it bother him. But he said he was deeply offended by Majur and Ramin Man. So that's the police officer. In the ultimate act of disrespect that I have ever been a part of, surrounded by hundreds of people, they decided to throw that then unknown liquid all over me and my coworkers. That moment of sheer terror, not knowing what kind of chemical or substance it could have been, if it was harmful or harmless, did not matter to them. They reveled in glee at what they had done in trying to humiliate us. Oh, apparently it was a woman. Man. So I'll leave it there, and I'll stress this. I'm in an impasse with the battery acid thing because I don't think you can't really criminalize her or fine her. I don't know what you would do in this regard. I think she should be criticized and told not to do it again. But you have to recognize that regardless of what we do with the battery acid joke, I wouldn't be surprised if we see it soon. I really wouldn't. I got one more segment coming up in a second. Stick around. I will see you soon.